Kideo Go presents Genius Insight, the Power of Reciprocity with Dr. Milan Lebray. Our topic this week is reciprocation, which is an overall concept that seems harmless enough. But in some ways, the rules of reciprocation are really about the subtle art of manipulation. Let's learn more about how this works. The first concept is called the norm of reciprocity, which dates back to the 1960s when Alvin Gouldner first explored the benefit of cooperative interactions between two people. The norm of reciprocity is the idea that we should return favors and repay others for the things they do for us. In fact, we are born and raised to follow the basic rules of good manners. This central human tendency has led to everyday catchphrases such as, "I owe you one," or "I've got you next time." When someone does something nice for us, we are usually compelled to return the favor, if not immediately, then somewhere down the road. Once a favor or gift has been given, the recipient ends up in a psychological state of indebtedness to the favor or gift giver. Being in this state of psychological discomfort leads to the power of reciprocity. This rule was classically portrayed in the Godfather movie with the line, "I've done you this favor. Someday I will ask you for a favor, and you will not refuse me." So, does the rule of reciprocity work? The famous poet Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Pay every debt as if God wrote the bill." This quote by Emerson effectively sums up the power of reciprocation. However, the same social pressure that allows us to trust that others will help us if we help them is also used by marketers, compliance professionals, and others to manipulate and shape our behavior. Reciprocity can shift from what is considered kindness to social influence when the tactics are utilized to create uninvited indebtedness. Once the debt is incurred, the compliance professional seeks to manipulate us to reciprocate in a manner that reaps a net benefit for them. One such principle is the concept of reciprocal concessions. Research has found that when someone makes a concession for us by reducing the size of their original request, we'll still see it as a favor and feel the obligation to respond. This concept is most commonly used in the area of negotiation. It's when someone we are negotiating with starts at a certain position and then retreats by agreeing to a lower compromise figure. When this happens, we feel a greater obligation to change our position to try and agree to the revised offer. Effective reciprocal concessions rely heavily on reciprocity rules. The reciprocity rule is triggered by the feeling that we are obligated in the future to repay invitations, courtesies, and so on. Research shows that these are strong, universal social rules which state the following. Number 1, all human cultures seem to subscribe to these rules. 2, all exchange between or among people are based on these rules. And 3, cultures socialize their citizenry to believe and comply with the rule, as in, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But there is another way that reciprocity rules can increase compliance that involves simple variations on the basic theme. These state that instead of providing a first favor that stimulates a return, an individual can make an initial concession that produces a return concession. Various compliance techniques rely on this type of sequential requesting. The most apparent and common is something called door in the face technique. It's also called rejection then retreat technique. Door in the face relies heavily on the pressure to reciprocate concessions. Door in the face starts with an extreme request that is sure to be rejected. A requester can then profitably retreat to a smaller request, which is typically the one that was desired all along. This is likely to be accepted because it appears to be a concession. Research indicates that this will increase the likelihood that a person will say yes to a request. This rejection then retreat technique also increases the possibility of carrying out the request and even agreeing to similar future requests. Then there is the foot in the door tactic, which in practice is the opposite of door in the face. This strategy is a compliance tactic intended to get someone to agree to a smaller request to make a more significant request later. If you've ever been to a mall, you've probably experienced this from the shopkeeper who asks you to try a sample. From there, they convince you to come into the store to browse or try to get you to commit to a purchase. Another way to get people to reciprocate is something called labeling. In labeling, we point out the qualities or say something favorable toward the other person. This is intended to make them more agreeable to what you're saying or to get them to agree to your request. Essentially, it's a persuasion technique that consists of providing a person with a statement about their personality or values. This is like a social label, in an attempt to provoke behavior that is consistent with the label. Here's an example. Mary, you are such an asset to our community, and you also make the best cookies I have ever tasted. You're such a good baker and mom. You know, we're having a bake sale, and I know your cookies would raise a lot of money. Would you be willing to make 3 dozen for us? One final way that marketers hook us to reciprocate is with a bonus gift. A gift is something you give someone without requiring them to take action first. So a bonus gift triggers reciprocity in a big way precisely because it was unexpected. Human nature says that the person that received the gift now owes you something. Have you ever received names, label stickers in the mail, or even money from a charity organization? When we receive these unexpected gifts, we are more likely to donate to the organization because they've given us something that triggers our need to reciprocate. As you can see, reciprocity rules are everywhere we turn, whether you're aware or not. But you get that as you're brilliant and now inspired to learn more. So we know you'll be joining us next time as we take a deeper look at how social influence and persuasion are pervasive features in our daily lives. Let's review. Norm of reciprocity. We should return favor and repay others for the things they do for us. Reciprocal concessions. Someone makes a concession for us when they reduce the size of their original request. We see it as a favor and feel obligated to respond. Door in the face technique starts with an extreme request, then moves to a smaller, more desired request. Foot in the door technique gets someone to agree to a smaller request to make a more significant request later. Labeling. Point out the qualities or say something favorable to make them more agreeable when you make your request. Bonus gift. It is unexpected, so the person who received the gift feels like they owe something. That's all for now. Thank you for joining me on Genius Insight. We'll see you next time.